Hey, Eric Clay here from Own Your Future podcast, where we help own your future, helping you navigate some of your biggest financial purchases that you'll ever deal with. And today we're going to have on Edward Warchal from Farley Plumbing and Heating. He's a
Hello.
Hey, thanks for coming, Ed. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
So you and I have actually worked together a little bit. You put in one of my water heaters, and you're currently doing some mass save stuff for me, which I really appreciate. So I wanted to have you on to kind of talk about some of the stuff that you do for homeowners and real estate agents and stuff like that, and then maybe talk a little bit about mass save. So how is business right now? Because from what I'm seeing, contractors just in general, like yourself, it's crazy out there. Is that right?
Yes, extremely busy. There's not a lot in the workforce. That's part of the deal. You need to have some warm bodies that want to be be in the trades, and every trade's hurting. Carpenters, electricians, HVAC guys, plumbers, the whole nine. So that's been kind of tough. But it's keeping me busy, so it's a good thing.
Gotta make the hay when the sun shines, right?
Exactly. We've been riding a wave for a while, so it does come in stages. But just gotta keep plugging along, and we'll make it from there.
How was it for you during COVID? Was COVID any crazier, less crazy? Is it any different?
It was like when the first shutdown started. It was, I had projects that we could still actually work on because we weren't doing any like, people were separated, so we could stay away from each other. And like that actually changed scheduling too, because it's like, all right, a lot of times you'd have the electrician and the plumber, or the HVAC guy and the plumber working in the same space at the same time. That changed. So like, it actually was more productive because nobody was in your way. But it got busier because everybody is now sitting at home. They couldn't go anywhere. And they were like, all right, well, let's do this, let's do that. And, but the downfall was, the manufacturers and stuff weren't working. So product was a lot harder to get, or it wasn't shipping, or, stuff just flew off the shelves. But it was good and bad. So it was, a little hectic, but, we made it through. And we're actually still now, depending on certain things, are having trouble getting stuff in. So, 1 week will be one thing, and the next week will be something else, and so on and so forth. But it's slowly coming back, but not fast enough.
So what was some of the big ticket items that were held up, and what was some of the longest wait times that you saw on some of those products?
Well, some heating equipment, or AC equipment, because now everybody's at their home and they want to outfit their houses for, their in-home office. And they're like, all right, I can't deal with this heat anymore. I need AC. A lot of that stuff wasn't around. They were just selling out of it. We're still having that issue now. And a lot of the plastic piping. So there isn't too many people, too many companies in the United States that actually make certain plastics, which are used for plumbing. So that was huge. Like, I was doing a brand new house and I couldn't find any of the PEX tubing. It took me like 5 days to track it down, and I had to drive all over the place to try and find it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. So,
and I'm sure that
also,
right? Like, because if it takes you 5 days and you're driving around, that's time, and which means it's money, right?
Right. Exactly. Or, like one supplier would only have so many feet of pipe, but they wouldn't have any fittings. So you'd have to, bounce around and, make a lot of phone calls also at the same time. So
crazy.
But,
it's crazy. And so a lot of that has been fixed, or are you still running into those issues now?
It's not as bad, but like I said, sometimes you can't get certain things. So there was a backlog of half-inch PEX 90s, and nobody could get them. But I had either I ordered it online, and when they come in, I just buy a bunch of them. So kind of stocking up to keep it going, but it's you know it's just a hurdle you got to jump over.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's kind of crazy to see how that market's going. Do you see and it's obviously very crazy for you guys out there right now with how busy it is. Do you see that changing anytime soon, or do you think it's gonna be crazy for a while?
I've noticed it's about the same for I want to say the past year and a half, like the flow as of right now. But also at the same time, as you know, interest rates been skyrocketing. So that will also play something in with people like trying to get refinance their home, or get a mortgage, or just try to borrow money, and they might wait and put off their addition or the bathroom remodel or kitchen remodel or so on and so forth. So, I haven't quite felt it, at least for me, not yet. I work with some contractors that are always busy, so that helps. But the I have noticed that, at least for me, some of like the homeowner calls of just asking of like how much stuff will cost, which is another thing. You can't get the material, and the material goes up. So, I've probably had an increase of at least 50% over the past couple of years, which, hurts. I see my supply house bill every month and kind of want to cry, but
um, so one of the things I wanted to ask you is I deal with a lot of first time home buyers, and they're buying their first condo or they're buying their first house. And a lot of people don't talk about like the maintenance and things that they have to do. Do you have any tips for home buyers when it comes to properly maintaining their systems, the stuff that you work on that maybe a lot of people don't think about? Like, so when I had you change out my water heater, I never once did anything with it for 10 years. And I think you said it was full of stuff or whatnot. So simply emptying out your water heater once in a while or flushing out your water heater might be something. But are there any tips, something similar to that or something like that you have?
Well, yes. So it all depends on what you have. So let's just start basic stuff. So your heating system, say you have an oil fired boiler or an oil fired hot air furnace, that should be serviced once a year by most of the time. You can do it with your whatever oil company you have, because keeping that clean is very important. If you have natural gas or propane, shit, if it's an older style boiler, like we call it an 80%, not a high efficiency boiler, that should be at least checked out every couple of years. Make sure the burners are clean, make sure everything's okay. If it's a high efficiency boiler, those really need to be serviced once a year. Make sure they're cleaned and running properly. Because a lot of the manufacturers, if there's no service record of it, your warranty is out. They'll throw it out the window and say, too bad. And then if you have a gas or propane hot air furnace, I always tell everybody there's filters. There's a filter. Normally it's right by the unit. I tell everybody once a month, switch out the filter, but you could to hope they do it at least once every 3 months. But if you have animals or I would really suggest doing it once a month, because that's blocking everything, making the unit run hotter and harder, or cool, and you're cooling. So that will just save you time, time and money because if you're putting strain on the unit, it's not going to last as long. So if it's just the little things that can make your equipment last longer.
Okay. So let me ask you this as well. So I had a question about on-demand water versus a water heater. What are your thoughts on the two? Which is one better than the other? Does it matter? Yeah.
Both are great. The way I see it, every house has its own application. Tankless hot water heaters, they're great if you don't have anything more than 3 or 4 bathrooms, or if, say, you have a really large soaking tub, especially in this area, because most of those can only push out like 4.5 to 5 gallons per minute. And if you have a big soaking tub with a big faucet, that wants to do 9 gallons per minute. So those are based on flow and temperature. Right. So sometimes you could do that by putting 2 together, like twinning 2 units together, which is fine, but that's also a different cost. Every house has a different thing to it, like depending on what it needs. And that's what we do. We try and figure out what's going to be the best thing for you and also your budget, because putting 2 of those units in would be very, very expensive compared to just putting a bigger water heater in. Yeah. And depending on what you have.
So do you remember how bad my water heater is when I had you change it?
Yeah, I had to, I couldn't drain it from the bottom like you normally do. I had to suck it from the top. Luckily, I've been in that situation before. And most of the time, that's normally the worst with electric hot water heaters. So also, like electric hot water heaters, inside the water heaters, it's called an anode rod, which actually attracts all the stuff that eats your water heater. Once that goes, then it's pretty much time to replace the water heater.
So, like, I probably should have replaced my water heater a lot sooner, right? No.
Well, as long as you keep an eye on it, that's the most important thing. But in your situation, because you're on the second floor and there's people that live below it, you might want to, stay on top of it, keep an eye on it, make sure everything's good.
Yeah.
But anything can happen. You can't see into the future and see, sometimes I've taken water heaters out that have been there for 18 years and they were great, but also I've replaced ones that they rotted out in 4,
Oh, wow. Crazy.
Yeah. Water quality is another thing, and usage.
Now, do you see a big difference between water quality of towns versus somebody on a well?
Yeah. Well, town to town can be extremely bad. Either they have a lot of iron in them, a lot of calcium. Even though they're treated, it's still present. So every town's different. Like, but your well is basically, if a lot of people who have wells already treat their water, because when you have town water, you're like, oh, I really don't have to do too much about it. It's town water. It's kind of already treated. But people who have well water, it's not treated at all. And they go the extra step to make sure everything's good. So
do you install filter systems for water?
Yes, I do. I haven't done too much. I've done quite a few in Hingham, Massachusetts. Don't want to be, pointing out any exact towns, but Rockland has town water, and their water really eats water heaters pretty quickly also. But Hingham water is pretty tough. I have a lot of people that put extreme filters like UV filters in, and it's kind of an elaborate system, but they're pretty nice.
Okay, so you heard it from him. If you're in Rockland or Hingham, you might want to get yourself a water filter.
There's a few others, but
There's a few others. So if you have questions about your town's water, you need to touch base with Ed. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Ed, is I obviously reached out to you regarding some of the mass saves on one of my properties. I want to take advantage of mass save, and you're helping me out with that. So give people a little idea of what mass save is and what they can do, and how you work with mass save to one, make a property more efficient and help people get things into their house that maybe normally would be a lot more expensive for them to do.
right. So Mass Save, well, they've been doing it for quite a few years now. Actually, they've been doing, giving you heat and cooling rebates for your system. I remember when it first came out, they were, if your heating system was over 30 years old, they would give you money to replace it with a higher efficiency heating or cooling system. This year they were giving up to $2,700 in rebates, and this year, which I have right here, I'm reading off the sheet here. Some of them are up to $15,000 per home, or
Wow.
yeah. And then like for natural gas, and they're giving up to 2,000. Or there's another program. They've changed the program big time this year. 6,600. So for us this year, we actually have to go through mass save classes. It couldn't just be a licensed plumber contractor with the state, and you could submit your rebate. Starting January 1, you actually have to go through their classes, and you have to have a number to be able to do it. And also they have, they've been having an interest-free loan program that you can borrow money interest-free. This year, I believe you could borrow up to $25,000 interest-free to replace your heating or AC system. And then they would minus whatever rebates you would get from whatever your loan is, but you'd have to pre-qualify. But this year coming up after January 1, you need to be a mass certified. You have to have a mass save certified number, which we've been going through getting that done. Awesome. They kind of drop it on you real quickly with no time to do it. So
one of the things that you and I ran into is I was looking at it towards the end of the year, and because of when we were looking into it, you actually made the recommendation to wait until January based off of what was still available. So if somebody wanted to take advantage of mass save, when should they do it? Because when I reached out to you, I had no idea that it was more challenging towards the end of the year than it was towards the beginning of the year. And you can kind of explain that in more detail.
Right. So what you needed was a heat pump system, which is basically a glorified, it's an air conditioner, but it also creates heat. It's like a mini split. Everybody's seen the mini splits that, they hang on the wall. But yours would just be through your ducted system. So the problem in your situation actually was that this, 2022 rebates for you to get the heat loan and the rebate, you needed a 16 SEER. So that's the efficiency of the outside condenser. You needed a 16 SEER outside condenser. Well, they're not making them anymore because of all, they're going more efficient, or you could go less efficient, which the standard a few years ago was 14 SEER. But if you went with the 14 SEER, you wouldn't qualify for the heat loan or any rebates. But there was no 16 SEERs. We had bigger SEERs, but when we plugged the models into the Mass Save website, they weren't accepted yet because they're kind of jumping into January 1's rebates. So that's why I made the suggestion. If you can wait, we see what they're actually bringing out, and then we can go from there. Because I know that's what you wanted to do, the heat loan rebate, and get the other rebates, the heat loan and the rebates. So we didn't want to just put it in and then them saying, oh, well, you get nothing. So
yeah.
that was.
So should they do it by like June or July or like, is there a time frame in which they should do it by where like for some reason it's just a little bit harder towards the end of the year, or does it matter?
Well, I would really try and get the ball rolling, but like before then, like if you're thinking about it, maybe early spring, just trying to get the ball rolling, just in case they're not going to change anything during the year. It's just everybody now is trying to get all this equipment, and they only can make so much equipment a year, and if the equipment is not there, then you kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So I would say the earliest to get it, the earlier you do it, the better off you will be. Granted, you do run into situations like somebody could call me like right now and say, oh, my heat's toast, everything died. So, and then you could try and get it done, but you probably wouldn't be able to do certain things. But if your heating system or AC system is old, think of it this way: what you have there now and what you're going to put in is going to save you money in the long run. Yes, it does cost money. Don't get it is what it is, but I always tell people you either pay now or pay later. So
absolutely. 100%, especially with these crazy electric prices. So I'm a big fan of Mass Save. I'm a big fan of Mass Save. We all pay in Mass, just so that people know, like part of your electric bill goes to Mass Save. So this ain't free money. This is actually money that you're actually paying towards. So when you take advantage of this, don't think about it like you're getting something free from the government, because we're all putting a little bit into this.
Yes, that is also true. Yeah, you pay for it one way or another.
Yeah. So, but I'm a huge fan because it allows people to do. We all pay a little bit, and it allows people to do these big projects, and it makes it easier for people to switch stuff over. So, is there, other than heating systems, is there anything else cool that Mass Housing is offering right now that people should know about?
I on my end, I think that's about it. I'm not positive. I know they were doing insulation. I'm not sure if they're doing it in January 1. But I know some people last year say it cost them $2,000 to re-insulate their attic. I think they ended up paying like $300, and now your house is insulated properly, and your heating or AC bill will go down because now your house is working properly. It's a huge thing. Even your windows are huge. Windows and doors. That's where you lose most of your heating and cooling through. So if you have single pane windows, and normally you put the storm window up in the in the winter, I would suggest doing that. Changing the windows. You'll notice a huge difference one way or another. And it will go back to, I got to replace all the windows, and that costs A, but you're going to notice your heating and AC bill start to drop because it's not going literally out the window.
Yeah, unless National Grid increases their rates by 200%.
Yeah, well, anything can happen.
Yeah, I'm just teasing. So you do the exciting world of plumbing and heating. Is there anything new that homeowners should know about the plumbing and heating world?
Well, hasn't changed too much. If anything, it's more updated and style wise. Thing is pretty interesting. That I've been seeing a lot is the shower valves that are like Bluetooth capable, and basically it's a very elaborate system, but it's like basically a computer, and you can make your shower do whatever it wants, and you can customize it to yourself. Those are pretty cool. I've been seeing a lot of what would you call them? I think they called it the Tom Brady toilet. So it's like a bidet. It's heated. It's got a remote control. Heated toilet seat. You walk in front of it, it opens. I've been putting a few of those in. They're pretty interesting.
So why do they call it the Tom Brady toilet? Is he like marketing this, or they just?
No. My supplier, I guess when he was building his house in, what was it, Brighton? I think he bought like 6 of them or something like that. And put them in every one of his bathrooms. At least that's what I was told. So that's why,
That's why you call it the Tom Brady toilet.
Exactly. Still love them.
So I got a controversial question for you. I wonder if you have an answer. What do you think about shark bite?
Shark bite. I would suggest, if it's a temporary thing, to use it. If not, then no. And definitely would not bury it inside of a wall where you can't see it.
Oh, yeah. I asked because it seems like a lot of people have a lot of strong opinions about shark bite.
Right. So, for instance, I had someone use a shark bite fitting on a piece of baseboard heat. So, what happens when you heat and cool something? So your heat's not on 24/7. When you heat and cool something, it expands and contracts. All right, and all of that movement eventually will let go. So that is kind of my suggestion. Even cold water pipes, they expand and contract also, with the different temperatures outside. So that right there is, one of the things why. Don't get me wrong, I use shock bites if I'm doing a remodel and I need to cut and cap some stuff. I'll cap it. I'm coming back, but I won't leave it.
Yeah, I just think it's funny because whenever I see shark bite like on social media or something, man, the comment section is crazy with the shark bite stuff. It cracks me up watching people how emotional they get about it.
Right, and don't get me wrong, and it's there, if you need it, but and it's also it's approved in Massachusetts, mass approved and to be used, but as a professional, and I wouldn't leave it. That's just me. Quick fix. Hey, let's fix this real quick, or we'll have to come back, or we're doing something. Then yeah, but I would not. That's just my personal opinion. I'm a craftsman, so.
So Ed, so I've known you for a few years now, and I think you're a great plumber. And if people watching this podcast want to get in touch with you because they have questions or they have needs, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me by phone. It's 617-797-8649, or by email, which is Farley5910@live.com. And my website will be coming up the end of January, so I'll be having that soon.
Awesome.
Finally.
So you heard it here, guys. If you have questions about plumbing and heating, or even some mass save stuff, you can reach out to Ed. And Ed, I appreciate you coming on Own Your Future podcast. And I thank everybody for watching. And we'll see you next time. Please like, share, and do all the other social media stuff so that people can get this podcast and see my next show. Thank you for coming, guys.
Thank you.